Alright, we're working on this thing again. It has a failed AC compressor. It was leaking out of the housing. I took it to Firestone. I paid them $10 to do the diagnostic on it, and they were able to tell me that the AC compressor was leaking and that it had to be changed. So along with that comes some other parts that have to be changed as well, and I'll show you what it is. So here's all the parts that I'm going to be changing. Got the compressor and the condenser and the expansion valve. Got all those from Amazon. Then I got some PAG 46 oil and also some air conditioner O-rings. And you don't have to order the entire condenser if you don't think there's any debris clogging it up. You can just buy the element for the air dryer instead. But everywhere I looked, they always recommended to change the condenser. So we're going to change the condenser. It's not that expensive. It's just $40 some. The remanufactured compressor was 120 some bucks, and then the expansion valve wasn't very much. I can't remember. But I'm also going to change the belt while we got the old one off, and we'll go from there. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is disconnect the negative side of the battery, just as a precaution, just in case. So when loosening the battery terminal, make sure you put a thumb down on this end so that when you're loosening it like that, you're not putting a bunch of torque on that battery terminal. And then it's just a 10mm nut. Go and disconnect it. Wedging it in there to the side so it's not touching anything. Alright, let's get started. Alright, gonna start taking some covers off. Gonna start with this one. Got 6 10mm bolts. Pull them out, take the cover off. Alright, so there's one there, one there, one there, one there, one there, and one there. I want to take this one little one out. Alright, leave all the other bolts in there. And just kind of lift it up and then slide it back to get it off the oil fill cap. Okay, let's go ahead and take this big cover off here. It has 8 of these little push tabs with a screw in it. Got one there, 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 there. Oh my goodness, that one's missing. There, 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 and there. And then there is a screw, just one, right there that you need to take out. Then we can take this cover off. Okay, so if you're having trouble getting the screw up so you can pull that push tab out, just get your screwdriver started. Get a little tiny flat screwdriver under the edge of the tab, and that'll give the thread something to push against and come up, and you can pull it out.
That car's hot.
Yeah. So I got the 8 push tabs out and the one screw, so let's take it off. If I remember right, I can just get it up like that, yep. So just pulling it up from the bottom, get it past this little latch, and then you're good to go. Okay, so behind the passenger side front tire, there is a cover right there that we're going to want to take off. And how you do that is, yep, you got 4 bolts under here. You got 2 right there, and then there's supposed to be one right there, but somehow mechanics probably lost it. And then back behind there, that one right there. So these are 10mm bolts. Try not to smack your CV boot there and tear it open, because I want to be changing that. Alright, bolts are out, and then we should just be able to just, it's kind of hooking on that axle there, so alright, get it up. Alright, it is so crazy. Alright, so I basically just had to pull from the middle here and bend it and then pop that part down. And I was able to unhook the axle from it. So we're going to be pulling the compressor out from this way. So we don't have to take anything off.
Yeah, everything's okay.
Like the oil filter and that sensor. Hey buddy, can you tell everybody on YouTube what you got for me there?
This is a big wrench. So this is Daddy's. It's in his toolbox. So I got it from it. But now it's huge.
That's right. Thank you very much.
From Home Depot.
Oh, thank you, buddy.
Right again.
Okay, now I want to take the belt off. And the way you do that is, here's the tensioner. You want to get a wrench. Just plug it into there and then push on it. And then that'll bring it down to loosen it. And you can slide it off of one of the pulleys. And you want to make note of the routing of the belt so that if it gets disoriented for you, you can get it back on correctly. So take a picture, draw a diagram, make a video, do whatever you need to do. I also drew out a little diagram of the belt's routing here. Hey Rocco, what are you trying to fix there?
The car.
What's wrong with it?
It's a little out. It looks okay.
Yeah. Well, good job. Alright, so to get the belt off, got a cheater bar on a 3/8 inch drive. If you have a 3/8 inch drive with a pivot head on it, that would be best, because you kind of have to angle out in order to get past this beam. But I got it on there, and I got it set to tighten. So got it on there. I'm just turning it like that. It's loosening up. Make sure you keep your fingers out of any pinch points when you go to remove it. And just make sure you keep your knuckles free in case it breaks loose from the tensioner, and so you don't punch anything. So I'm going to slip it off with my fingers now. So I just slipped the belt off the alternator there, and something else I ran into as well. It was while I was bringing the tensioner back, my cheater bar here is now stuck against the frame there. I can't get it all the way back, so just be aware of that. Okay, so after I slipped the belt off of the alternator there, off the compressor. Alright, first I'm going to start with the expansion valve, which is right behind this pipe. Alright, so there's two Allen head bolts right there and there that stick out, and also one that's recessed down in the middle. We want to loosen all those up. They are number 5s. Also, even though Firestone evacuated the system and there is a leak, there still might be pressure in the system, so we want to wear safety glasses when first opening up the system. Alright, take the one out in the middle first. It's the shorter one of the 3. Okay, so I should be able to pull this line back to get the expansion valve off. So the expansion valve is still attached to the line. Should be able to pull back on the expansion valve. It's still stuck to the hoses, so just wiggling it back and forth. Got it popped off. Here's the expansion valve. There's where the 2 bolts that were sticking out went, and then the recessed one went into there. So you got to make sure you put it in the right direction. And this is just changed as precautionary, so if there's any material that got stuck in this tiny hole, you would get that covered. And right there is how that looks after you get the expansion valve off. And we'll want to replace all these O-rings on here. And there's 4, so there's 2 on this. There's a small one at the bottom and then another one at the top on the hose side. Alright, so I need to get the O-rings off. Alright, so should be able to roll it off of there now. I like to wear rubber gloves when messing with this stuff. I don't want that green dye all over me, and I don't like that oil on me anyway. For these, I didn't really need to roll them off with a screwdriver. I was able to get my fingernail under them and then just kind of roll them off with my fingers. So as far as these in the back on the hose, it's just going to take some fancy flexibility to get to those, but I'll get them. Okay, so here are the O-rings that came off of it. Alright, so got the little one there. Got all the same. Alright, so we got my new gaskets. So before I slip them on, I like to take some fresh compressor oil and wipe it on the O-rings. No debris. There we go, got some fresh AC compressor lube here. Just want to put around the O-rings. That way they seal up. I'll put more around them when I get to putting the device back on. Alright, so I got some oil around all of them. Now I'm going to go slip them on the pipes. Okay, got my new lubed up O-rings. Just kind of roll them on there. Just kind of roll them on there. There we go. Push it back. And feels pretty lubed up there. I'll put the others on now. Just to make sure we get a good seal, got some more compressor oil. I'll put on my finger and put around the lips of these. And then we can put the new expansion valve on. Here's the new expansion valve, sealed up real good. Went ahead and tore it open. Seal up real good so they don't get any dirt, dirt or debris into it, because it's got this small orifice that could get clogged. Alright, so just got to make sure that this part of it is facing the cab of the car and this part of it's facing the front of the car. So let's stick it in there. Alright, so I got the expansion valve on the body, and that was not the right way to go. So put it on the pipe first. And then put it on the body of the car. There we go. This little pipe down the bottom wants to get in the way if you do it the other way. I want to go ahead and put the long bolt in first, and then that recessed small bolt. Okay, I'll tighten those up. Alright, it's all set in there. Time to move on. Alright, so I need to take this big cover off down here. There's supposed to be 6 bolts, but some of them are missing. There's 3 along the side here. So there's 1 and 2 and 1 back here in the back. And across the front there's 3, 1, 2, 3, and on the side here 3. So 1 and 2, and then back there's 3. So I'm going to take this cover off. All these bolts are 12 millimeter. Okay, now I want to take the center beam out, which they made really difficult. Got 2 bolts here, and 2 bolts there, and I got 3 bolts holding that on. Got this plug, which I can take off right now, and then you got 2 zip ties that you got to cut there in order to get the cable off. Had this off before. Now this is to the latch cable. You'll have to squeeze that together, pop that off, then you can get this out of the way. So let me do that. center bracket, there's 2 bolts right there that we have to get off, and it's underneath this. And there's one for the fan on this side, and then there's one for an oil cooler down there that's on this side. And in order to get to these, we have to go from underneath, kind of pull the bumper out, I'll show you that, and reach way up there. One of the bolts you can get to from inside the grill here, you can get that oil cooler one, but you can't quite get to anything else. Alright, so I'm going to get the bolt on the oil cooler first. This is the easy one. Alright, good, that's off. Now we got to go underneath to get the rest of them. So to get under this front bumper, there's 5 bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And all 5 of these bolts are 10 millimeter. Okay, got the bolts out. Now you can just grab onto the center lip here and pull it back like that. And there's the nut for, or there's the bolt for the center beam at the bottom. And up there is the bolt we just loosened from the oil cooler. And up a little further, if you can see it, is the bolt for the cooling fan, and then also the bolt for the center beam that goes to the top center beam. So we'll be reaching way up there to get those loosened. Okay, so these are all 10 millimeter. Let's reach up there and get them.
To really do some bending. So there's a bolt there, and your oil cooler, and then your air conditioner, condenser, fan bolt, and then the 2 bolts to that bracket at the very top.
I sure hope you can figure out a better way to do this, because that was awful going up from the bottom. But it's all off, should just come off now. Should be able to pull it out. There we go. Alright, now I want to remove these 2 lines from the condenser. That nut there and that nut there, both 10 millimeter. Maybe hold on to this line so it doesn't twist it too much. Man, I got this one on tight. There we go. Same with this. Hold on to the line while you turn the nut. There we go. Just take the nut off. The line should come off without any issues. So this line here that we pull off is going to go to the compressor. There we go. And this line here that we pull off goes to the expansion valve. Just wiggle it till that gasket lets loose. There we go. Okay, so I got some 10 millimeter bolt there, 10 millimeter bolt there. So there's supposed to be one right down here on this bracket, a bolt, if you can see it in there, but that's missing. And also same on the other side. And there's also supposed to be one down here on this bracket, but that's missing. And that's because when I put the new radiator in, the bolt holes didn't line up. But that's okay, don't really need it. So on mine, I just need these 2 bolts. Should be able to slide out that condenser then. Okay, now I should be able to pull it out. Should be able to just separate it from the radiator there. Just pull it straight up. Should. Alright, but there's this hitting on the, you can see right there, this cable is hitting the air dryer. So I'm going to have to Looks like there's some locking tabs I can push on to get this out. With the flat screwed up. Yeah. Got one side, can't get the other because it's on the bottom, but maybe if I pull hard enough it'll just come out, pry it out. There we go. Bust the bottom one out. There we go. Okay, with this out of the way now, it'll finally get out of the way. We can get this out. Gotta shift it to the left a little bit because there's a bracket there. Let's see if it'll let me. Come on. There we go. I had to twist it, shift it to the left to get it past this bracket on the right. There we go. Keep on pulling. Alright. Keep on wiggling until we get the room. Look out for that radiator turn line. Fantastic. Our condenser is out. So I'm going to go ahead and do the compressor now. So before I go underneath, I want to take this nut off for this line. Take the line off. It goes the expansion valve. And yes, it is another 10mm nut, so let's go ahead and take that off. Got the nut off. Let's go ahead and pull the line. Alright, that's off now. Try not to let it drag across any mucky, oily areas so that there's no debris that collects on it. I think it's probably better to just wrap a rag around it. So there's also a sensor cable that's they need to get some needle nose on. I don't know if you can see it. The back of it's back here. Gotta get some needle nose. Squeeze the locking tabs and then push it through. Now it's time to go to the bottom. So you can see there's another sensor zip tie with a lock right there. Make me work for this one. You know what? I'm just gonna cut that zip tie. So we got 4 12mm bolts holding the compressor on. One there, one there. And you can see the one up top. And then there's one that you can't see. Okay, so right there is the bolt that you have to get to from up top. Also, we got our compressor clutch wire harness here. So there's a compression tab right there you gotta squeeze, and then you can pull it out. Hopefully the plug won't fall apart on you. Oh, there we go. Oh, well, the whole plug assembly came off. So while I was trying to disconnect the 2 plugs, they just came apart. Just broke apart. Broke. Did not actually unplug. Broke in half. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this bolt out. Started. Continuing. Fudge. Alright, got the top 2 bolts. The compressor broke loose from up top here. Now it's time to go underneath. Let's go ahead and get these 2 right here. Okay, I got these 2 broke loose. I'm going to go ahead and take them out and take it out from the outside wheel well there, and then pull the compressor out that way. Alright, so be mindful of what bolts go where. These 2 on the bottom right here were the medium length ones, and then up top the one over here on the right side, that one was long, And then this one, it's recessed in a bit. On the left hand side, that one right there, that one was short. Okay, I actually did take all the bolts out, so it's kind of free hanging in there. I don't really know how it's staying. Fishing guess word of advice for next time, unplug that sensor over there that's hanging me up before doing this. You want to unplug that sensor, it's a compression tab, you push in on right there in the middle, pops off. Pretty simple. So here's who I got the compressor from, and it says on their card, the compressor comes with the correct amount of oil inside already. You do not need to add any additional oil to your system. So we don't need to add any oil. Let's see what hardware we need to transfer over. Alright, so here's the new one. Everything looks exactly the same from one compressor to the other, and here's all that I'm going to have to transfer over. I got these manifolds here I'm going to transfer over, and this bracket for the sensor cable and the wire going to the compressor. That bracket needs to be transferred over because it's different than what's on there. Refurbished compressor didn't come with this spacer, so I had to transfer it to the refurb, and I had to really crank on it and twist it to get it broke loose, and been wiggling it back and forth to get it to come out. So I'm gonna keep working on it until it does. And I'll make sure to replace all the gaskets and lube those so they don't leak. Okay, so since the plug fell apart, I went to AutoZone or O'Reilly's and nobody has a replacement. They said you gotta go to the dealer or go online. Not gonna do that. And so I'm just gonna take the plug out of the, just gonna take that pin out of the plug, put them together, and then electrical tape over it. So the way you get this pin out, there's a little door there that you gotta get open. So that's how you do that. That door's open. So next, there's a tiny hole down in there above the wire that I just shoved this dental pick down into, and then pulled, was able to get it out. So now I'm going to just, when I get it in there, plug the two back together and then electrical tape it up. But in the meantime, I'll go ahead and get online and order what I need, and then when it comes in, then I'll take it back apart again and put it on there correctly. Okay, let's start transferring stuff over. Going to go ahead and take the old cable off. I'll get this off. I'll replace that O-ring. Then we need to get the Allens for that. Alright, so now I got a number 9 Allen for these two. Okay, so these have O-rings on the compressor. Alright, done with this old one. Okay, so the new compressors came with the O-rings already on it. I just need to take the plugs off here. There we go. off of where the old O-rings were on this old manifold. Have a little oil on this and then wipe it around the O-rings. Got plenty of oil on them now, so I'm going to put these manifolds on. Alright, now I'm going to put new O-rings on this bad boy. So before I set the compressor in, I want to replace the O-ring on this hose and then oil it. Alright, let's set this compressor in there. Okay, so when I installed this refurbished compressor, they had paint on it, so the paint kind of got in the way. It had a bunch of paint down here, and it pushed in and then made a big chunk that kept it from going up against the engine all the way. So just be aware of that. Maybe scrape the paint off where it's going to be making contact with anything if you get a refurb. Alright, so be mindful of what bolts go where. These two on the bottom right here were the medium length ones, and then up top the one over here on the right side, that one was long, and then this one, it's recessed in a bit on the left hand side. That one right there, that one was short. Here's a bracket for the sensor. I just realized needs to go back on. Needs to go back on right like that. Okay, got all the bolts on. I had to go up and down multiple times because as soon as I get the bottom side tight, then the top side will need to tighten more. So I think it's because of the paint not allowing the compressor to be seated all the way on the little inserts that go into it. So let's put this on. It takes a 10mm nut. Alright, and don't forget to plug this back in. Alright, now we got to get the compressor wire all done up, and you can zip tie this wire around if you want. Okay, the compressor wire needs to be plugged in, and then electrical tape for temporary purposes. Alright, so you got a male and female side here, so just make sure you get them facing the proper direction. Plug them in just like that. Now I'm going to electrical tape them together. Alright, so comparing my condensers to one another, they look exactly the same, only that one's black. Make sure your connections up here look like they're set up the same, and it does to me. So I'm doing this one last, mainly because it has the accumulator air dryer in it, and that's right there. I want to open this up and make sure that the manufacturer put the element inside the accumulator there. Alright, so it's a number 10 Allen to get this air dryer open. Now, if you want to just change the element instead of the entire condenser, this is how you would do it. can hear the vacuum pressure release there. That's good. Sealed well then. And yes, there is an element in there. So put this, actually that's just a filter, I think. Yeah, it's a filter. So you clean that filter and then install a new element into the air dryer, and it's got one in it. It just looks like a bag pouch. Just a bag pouch down inside there. So I want to seal that back up real soon so that we don't lose our so it doesn't fill up with moisture. That desiccant pack. Reseal these O-rings with some more compressor oil. Okay, let's install this condenser. Right here. Fine. Let's pull this back out. There we go. Got it. Alright, gotta put my bolts on top here. The threaded post that comes up out of these holes is missing, so I gotta take them off the old one and transfer them over. So here's the posts. They have a non-threaded part right here. Should be able to grab onto, turn them. And it's turning, so just do that to these two, and this one wants to be a little tough, but there it goes. It's good to go now. Just try not to damage the threads. Alright, ready to put one of the hoses on. Finally, I'm going to put this back one on here that comes from the compressor. I want to lube up that O-ring again that I had on there. I'm going to wipe it off too, because it's been through quite a bit. Alright, good. It's down on there. I need to change the O-ring on this little one that goes on the other side, and then I'll put it down. There we go. Fantastic. Now I'm just going to tighten these two up here. Alright, let's take a look at it. Make sure there's no gaps. So, no gap. And no gap there either. So it looks sealed. Okay, now we need to get the belt back on, and then we can get all the covers and that center beam on, and then take it to Firestone, have them fill it up with Freon, and I'll get back with you after that and show you if it works. Hey YouTube, so this has been my life for the past 3 weekends. The AC compressor, I changed it out myself with a refurb, clutch went out, I tried to replace the clutch myself. So I was able to get the front plate for the clutch off and then the pulley, but then when I got to the coil, I found it was pressed on, so I wasn't able to get the coil off myself, so I had to take it to a mechanic. And somehow the shaft for the pulley bearing sheared off. So ended up having to change the entire compressor again. I just let the mechanics do it because I couldn't leave there with the shaft for the pulley being sheared off, because that's what the belt rides on. So I was stuck. They had me. So I had to pay $600 extra for them to replace my compressor that I had already replaced, and here I am.